What up YouTube, it's your boy ProfessorStix and I'm back again with another Call of Duty Warzone video. Today we're going to be comparing the best close range ARs in Warzone. We'll be looking at the VAL and the FFAR. We'll be comparing these stats, the best attachments, and we'll be looking at the recoil pattern, finding out which one is the easiest to control. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I make Warzone tips and tricks videos and I compare the best weapons in Warzone so you can rise to the top. All right, let's get into it, baby. When we're looking at the weapon stats, the FFAR has an ADS speed of 238 milliseconds compared to the VAL, which comes in at 225 milliseconds. The movement speed for the FFAR is 4.69 meters per second, which is the exact same thing as the VAL. When we're looking at the reload speed, the FFAR has a reload speed of 2.48 seconds and the VAL comes in at 2.18 seconds. The rate of fire is pretty much similar, with the FFAR coming in at 900 rounds per minute and the VAL coming in at 885 rounds per minute. And so you can see the VAL is built for speed. It's got a pretty decent reload time, it's got very fast rate of fire, and it is very comparable with some of the fastest killing weapons in Warzone. Let's get into the damage profile. When we're looking at the damage profile, the FFAR does 45 damage to the head, which means it's going to take 6 shots to kill a fully armored opponent, and the VAL does 47 damage to the head, which means it's going to take 6 shots to kill a fully armored opponent. When we're looking at the chest damage, the FFAR does 33 damage to the chest, which means it's going to take 8 shots to down a fully armored opponent, and the VAL does 37 damage to the chest, which means it's going to take 7 shots to down a fully armored opponent. Now, when we're looking at the damage fall off, the FAR has a damage fall off of 36 meters and the VAL has a damage fall off of 32 meters. Now keep in mind, you can extend these using attachments, with the FFAR being able to extend to 50 meters and the VAL being able to extend to 40 meters. All right, so let's talk about the TTK. All right, so let's look at the time to kill if you're hitting all of your chest shots. For the FFAR, you are going to down a fully armored opponent in 467 milliseconds. For the VAL, you are going to down a fully armored opponent if you're hitting all of your chest shots in 407 milliseconds. That is a pretty big difference. It's enough to win a gunfight. Now, if you hit 2 to 3 headshots, you can reduce your time to kill on the FFAR to 400 milliseconds. However, that is still very comparable to the VAL if you're hitting all of your chest shots. And if you hit 3 headshots with the VAL, you can reduce your time to kill to 339 milliseconds. So the VAL is way more forgiving if you are not as accurate and you're hitting mostly chest shots. And the fact that you can add a 5 milliwatt laser and become more accurate with your hip fire, that allows you to hit way more body shots and really zero in on those chest and headshots with the VAL. All right, guys, let's talk about the situational use. The VAL is extremely dangerous close range. It fries within 40 meters when you fully kit it. It is way more forgiving at close range than any other AR, and it eliminates fully armored opponents in 407 milliseconds. That is faster than all the SMGs we have in the game when you are hitting all chest shots. Now, the biggest issue is that the VAL can only go up to 30 rounds. However, I don't really see that as a disadvantage if you're using it as a sniper support weapon or a close range deleter. The VAL is excellent for being aggressive because it is so destructive up close. Just keep in mind the limited mag, and if you have sleight of hand, you can get right back into that fight right away. All right, guys, let's jump right into the attachments. All right, guys, so very quickly, let's go over the attachments for the VAL. For the barrel, you're going to want to go with the VLK 200mm OSA. That's going to give you that damage range and bullet velocity. For the laser, it's up to you. You can go with tack laser. I like the 5 milliwatt laser since I'm using this as an SMG. Close range, want to be able to hip fire, want to be able to get that sprint to fire. For the underbarrel, we're going with the Merc 4 grip. If you guys find another grip that's better for vertical recoil, let me know. But this is the best one that I've found, and it's really great for hip fire. For the ammunition, want to go with the largest mag, which is the 30 round mag. And then for the last attachment, you're going to want to go with sleight of hand. Because the VAL has a limited magazine, you can only go up to 30. So sleight of hand, I think, is very necessary if you're going to be playing very aggressive. If you're not going to be playing that aggressive, switch it out with something else. All right, so very quickly, we're going to go over the FFAR. You're going to want to go with the agency suppressor. I like running the 21.2-inch Ranger barrel because it's going to give you max bullet velocity. But if you want to trade off a little bit bullet velocity and get some extended range, you want to go with the reinforced heavy. That's going to push out your damage range, your effective damage range, but it's going to reduce your bullet velocity. For the underbarrel, field agent grip works for me. You can also try bruiser grip. That's going to reduce your vertical recoil, but I personally like having reduced horizontal recoil, and then I just compensate for the vertical recoil using my joystick For the ammunition, you want to go with the 50 round mag, or you go with the fast mag, but it does hinder your ADS a lot more than it benefits your reload speed. And with the stock, you can go with the QBC pad. Many different ways to build the FFAR, but this is the typical build that I would go with. And I would just have the Ranger here because I like putting bullet velocity, especially for the FFAR, because I want my bullets to hit very quickly, especially when I snipe an opponent and take off their plates. All right, guys, let's jump into the recoil pattern. All right, so I'm standing about 15 meters away from this wall, and I'm shooting the FFAR on the left side and the VAL on the right side. And you can see the recoil pattern is pretty much identical. It's just flipped. The FFAR goes up and slightly to the right, but then it veers off into the left and then corrects itself by coming back onto the right. So it's got that S-shaped curve. The VAL does something similar, but it's not as deep of a S curve as the FFAR. So it's going up slightly to the left and then it's veering off straight into the right. So actually, I wouldn't even say this has an S curve. This is one of the typical assault rifle recoil patterns. A lot of these assault rifles have this same similar recoil pattern. So it's actually a little bit easier to control the VAL than it is to control the FFAR. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Recoil pattern is all about practice and it is all about comfortability. But in my opinion, I think the VAL is going to be slightly easier to control the recoil just based on its recoil pattern. All right, let's talk about my final thoughts on these weapons. All right, so here are my final thoughts on the VAL. It is an absolute unit. It is the fastest killing close range AR in Warzone. I would definitely run this with the Kar 98 or the SPR and be confident that you will be evaporating people at close range. The VAL still packs a punch at range. However, it doesn't have as good bullet velocity as the FFAR, so don't expect to be beaming people 50 meters and out. The only major drawback is that the VAL has a 30 round mag. If it had a bigger mag, this would definitely be in the meta. I'm gonna leave the FFAR above the VAL ever so slightly because the VAL just has that limited mag. However, you can be confident in the VAL. It is a very fun weapon. It has bailed me out at close range multiple times, and you should definitely put it somewhere in your loadout. All right, guys, that's it for me. Make sure you hit that like button if you learned something new. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those bell for notifications. Also, you can catch me live on Twitch. I'll leave a description in the link below. If you're looking for somebody to play with or you just want to hang out while I try out different weapons, come on over. You're always welcome. As always, guys, make sure you drop into Verdansk and frag out. Peace.
I'm safe.
Grab CJ. Making my way.
Dead.
You got him? Was that the
Yeah.
same one? Oh
Yeah, I think it's
shit,
the
what a
same guy.
snipe, dude. Sweet
Yeah,
snipe.
that guy got fucking destroyed still.